Philip Siegel of Havana Phil Cigar Company.
And I'm Shayna Lee, the social media manager here and owner of Shayna Lee Photography.
Welcome to Behind the Smoke Screens, where we give you a raw and unfiltered look at what it's like to run a business as two young entrepreneurs.
In our line of work, we have the pleasure of creating relationships with a variety of characters. Influencers, athletes, models, digital media gurus, CEOs, and industry experts. And we'll be inviting them on to share with you.
Sit back, grab a sip and a smoke as we take you behind the smoke screens.
Excuse us for a moment while we post live to Instagram. By the way, follow us on Behind the Smoke Screens or Havana Phil's and Shayna Lee Photo.
I like that plug.
Isn't it Shayna Lay?
Oh, God. Does anybody say that? L-E-I-G-H. Does anybody say that? Nobody says that.
Did he say we're live?
Yeah.
I think so. Give us a thumbs
We're
up.
lit.
All right.
It's not.
So we have like 20 minutes. Let's roll.
Let's roll.
Cool. Welcome, everyone. We're here at Behind the Smoke Screens. I'm joined with my co-host, Shayna Lee.
That's right, that's right.
And a very, very special guest, Luke Lyddon.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you.
We're honored to have you. Luke is actually an Emmy Award-winning news sports anchor for WFMY News 2. Shout out. Look at his polo.
That's right. Had to rep the gear.
Fancy.
So, how does it feel to be an Emmy Award-winning sports anchor?
You know, it's funny you lead with that question because I thought on my way down here, I'm like, I wonder what his first question will be, and you're just getting right into it. Okay, let's go for it. It's very rewarding. It feels very good. It's something I've always dreamt of achieving within my career, winning an Emmy. So to be able to do that really is like a dream come true, as cliche as that sounds. And it's been a long road to get to that point, to win that award. But it was very validating, and you know, hopefully there are more Emmys in my future. Time will tell soon enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just submitted another, what'd you call it? I guess a chance to win another Emmy.
I did. So the way it works is you can there are different categories, there are like 70 different categories, and mine's for best sportscast. So I submitted another reel, I guess you would call it, a montage, 8 minutes of like some of my best clips, and we find out if I got nominated, fingers crossed, in November, and then the actual awards are handed out in February. So we'll see, but you got to be optimistic, right? Even if you don't think you're going to win, you have to think you're going to win.
100%.
Speak into existence, right?
I love the attitude. So, what was your absolute favorite clip from this past year that you submitted to the Emmys?
That I just did, or the one that won it?
That you just did. If you want to talk about history, we can go in the museum.
But
Wait, is there a Luke museum?
he's making that up. I think probably I brought in a foot doctor and talked to him, a podiatrist, about Cam Newton's Liz Frank injury last season when he was suffering through that. And I brought him on, and we kind of got hands-on and talked about his injury, and he diagnosed it or showed us through an x-ray to kind of give the people at home a different perspective of what the injury really looks like when it comes to the foot itself. And so I thought that was just different, provide a different perspective, unlike what probably most people would do if you were a sports anchor. So I thought that was kind of cool, just to kind of shake it up a little bit in a sense. But looks like Cam's fully recovered now, doing well with the Patriots, which I hate to see.
He looked great on Sunday.
He did, yeah. Yeah.
So what are you drinking?
It's a good question. I am a vodka guy, and so when I walked in, the lovely bartender said, "What would you like to drink?" I said, "Surprise me." And she says, "Do you like fruity drinks?" And I do. So I said, "You know what? Just
Never would have guessed that, Luke.
You're gonna learn a lot about me here on Behind the Smoke Screens." But I do like fruity drinks. I'm not ashamed to say it. And so she made me a great fruity drink. Don't know what's in it, but I know there's vodka, and it tastes really good. And we're almost out, so we probably need to get another refill.
Yeah. Send the bat signal. Let's go.
Well,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all personal preference,
Mm-hmm.
and the point of enjoying a cigar, a drink, is just to enjoy the experience. So,
That's right.
Yeah,
You got a nice ambiance here, good energy, good company.
Yeah.
We're off to a good start so far.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful night here in Greensboro. The weather is really nice now. It's sweater weather. And we are outside on the patio tonight. For those that are listening on audio podcast, you may hear some cars going by and that kind of thing. But it is a beautiful evening. And Phil, what am I drinking? Could you tell everyone?
Well, it looks like you
I'm
already
having some
drank
wine.
it, but it's
already
actually it's called Lafarge.
Lafarge.
It's a Narasa grape from
That's
France.
right. That's true. That's right.
And it's definitely one of our most popular wines that we sell here. Very complex, fuller body, so it typically goes well with cigars.
It's very, very nice.
I like to hear that.
And I'm smoking a Rocky Patel,
Yes.
and it is a.
1999 Connecticut.
That's right.
You and Luke are enjoying the same smoke. Nice, mild, easygoing.
Mm-hmm.
Great for sweater weather and wine.
Sweater weather.
It's the perfect combination, really.
Yeah. So our podcast is about going behind, the facade of who you are. And you have to put that up all the time on TV. You
Right.
go live every night, 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
So, I kind of wanted to dig into how that works. Like, how do you prepare for that? How do you unwind from that? You go live at 11 most nights, and that's a pretty late night,
Yeah.
So I'm really curious about how you do that, but also find the balance of, enjoying your personal life as well.
Well, that's a good question because that's something I've struggled with a little bit recently in terms of finding a balance, because more than half our job, I feel like, is social media. You got to be on Instagram. You got to be on Twitter. You got to be on Facebook. You got to do your Facebook Lives. I mean, I could ramble on and on about that. And it is very important, and something I'm realizing more and more, is to be able to disconnect from that, to be able to just, we talked about this before we started recording, just being more in the moment and not being so glued to your phone. And that's a challenge for me, to try to disconnect from that. But as far as prepping for my shows themselves, I usually have a good grip or a good sense of what kind of the top sports stories are, so I know usually what I'm going to talk about that day. But for the average viewer that might not know, when it comes to my sportscasts, I'm the person behind all of it. I write all of it. I edit all the video. I cut all the sound bites. It's my kind of creative vision that comes to fruition. So that's why, for example, about the Emmy, I was very proud of that, because it was all of mine. Of course, it's a team effort. There's so many people behind the scenes that help make my vision come alive, but it's kind of all my creativity coming to the forefront. And I just try to pride myself on good writing and just trying to think outside the box and present it in a different way. So it can be a challenge. I've been working from home since March. I haven't been back in the station since COVID-19 kind of took over the United States. So I've had to try to find ways to be a little more creative from inside my own living room with my cat kind of jumping around everywhere. But it's definitely a process.
Duke
but
of Greensboro.
Duke, that's right. All you Duke fans out there, that's my cat's name, Duke. But I enjoy.
Look, I'm a Tar Heel. I'm a Carolina alum.
That's fair.
So, hey, I have to shout out the Tar Heels.
I respect the boo in there. It's just really about trying to keep it fresh, keep it creative, and keep the viewer wanting to come back each night thinking, oh, what's Luke Lyddon up to? I wonder what he has to talk about, and trying to captivate the audience. But yeah, I mean, to follow up on that, I go live at 11:20. I don't get off till 11:45 at night. So the schedule is weird, but you get used to it after a while. But it's definitely a balance, and trying to just keep it all fresh and engaging as possible.
So you go live and you get yourself hyped up and ready to go, and you get off at 11:45. How do you unwind to get to bed so you can wake up and prepare for another day of going live?
Well, I'm a big night owl, so I don't go to bed till like 2+ a.m. So usually when I get off, maybe I'll watch an episode of Love Island that I missed earlier in the evening on CBS, WFMY News 2.
Oh my
That is
God.
not a lie. I actually really do enjoy that show. And just See,
so good.
you
Okay.
said you got to learn more about the person behind the facade, and so now
Yeah,
we're
there
learning
you go.
more. Fruity drinks, Love Island. What else are we gonna find out?
Who
But,
knows? Stay tuned.
That's right.
Probably gets pedicures too.
I don't do that. I only do that with my mom and sisters when the time is right. But
Special occasion.
Every
That's right, that's
other
right.
week.
exactly. Just trying to unwind. I mean, definitely trying to put my phone down, trying to disconnect from social media. But if there's a late game on, whether it's hockey, football, basketball, I almost have to be on my phone to tweet about it. So it's,
Yeah.
again, trying to find that balance. But just trying to watch shows, relax, maybe read a book, whatever it is, to just try to end the day so I can be fresh to start the next day, I guess you could say.
Right.
Yeah.
So something that our audience doesn't know about me is that I actually studied journalism. And
Big
I
J.
yes, I was at the J School at Carolina, and I studied journalism and mass communication with
Okay.
a focus in visual communication, multimedia.
Yeah.
And I know that you started out doing digital media, and you worked your way up into broadcast journalism, which is
Yeah.
where you are now. And I could tell you, I tried. This is crazy. Like, not a lot of people know this, but I tried to do sports broadcast journalism out of Knoxville, Tennessee. I did like an internship with a news station there, and I know this is going to be really hard for people to believe, because I'm so personable. But I was terrible.
Really? No.
I was terrible. And I'll tell you exactly why, because I don't know anything about sports. And
That might
I
be
can,
it.
yes, and I can talk about, if I know something about something, like I can talk about it all day long if I'm comfortable with the topic, right? But I don't know anything about sports. So I was trying to talk about something that I didn't have any experience, like a lot of experience with. I mean, I played a lot of sports growing up and stuff like that, but I had very little knowledge.
Right.
It is a lot harder than people think it is to stand in front of a camera and talk about something. Well, especially something you don't know a lot about. But I know that you know a lot about sports because you grew up playing sports. Can you talk a little bit about the sports that you played?
Yeah.
What got you interested in broadcast journalism and specifically sports?
So it's kind of a funny story. I played ice hockey my entire life. I grew up in Arizona. Everyone always says, ice hockey in Arizona, it's so hot there. But surprisingly, it's grown a lot over the years out in the desert. So I played hockey, played basketball.
Austin Matthews
Austin Matthews, he's from Scottsdale, that's right.
came out of Arizona.
He did,
One
yeah.
of the top NHLers in the league right now.
I just wish that was me, but I have to talk about it instead of actually play the game.
You're about
Play
his
the sport.
size.
Yeah, how tall is he actually? I
I
don't
think
know.
he's like 6'5".
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a
Oh.
giant.
So I grew up in a household full of sports in terms of watching sports with my dad. He was a big Chiefs fan, grew up watching the sports, things of that nature. So I've always had a passion for sports, and my dad actually went to the University of Missouri. My mom went to KU. I don't know how that worked out because those are such big rivals, but I wanted to go out of state. I wanted to try something new, just do something different, go outside my comfort zone because I feel like that's kind of how you grow as a person. And I had narrowed it down to between either KU or Mizzou. Went to Mizzou ultimately. And the funny part of the story is I've always liked to read, always liked to write, but in my head I'm like, oh, I'll just study business or do something like that, whatever. And then I happened to find out they had a really good journalism school, which I didn't really know or pay attention to at the time. I'm like, oh, I'll give that a try. Undergrad, you're a freshman, you don't really know what you're doing, whatever, kind of find your way. And I'm like, oh, I like this, it's good. And then I kind of dabbled in the broadcast world, and I felt like I had a natural cadence to it. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just kind of go with this and see what happens. And then one thing led to another, and I actually never studied sports broadcast at Mizzou. It was all news. So my first job in El Paso, Texas, I was the weekend news anchor for about a year and a half, and then I was able to make the switch to sports, and then ever since then I just kind of ran with it, and it's been great ever since. I mean, I get to cover the Canes in the playoffs, get to cover the Panthers, Duke, your favorite team, UNC, March Madness. It really is, like, if you're a sports fan, it really is like a dream come true in that sense, just because I get to talk about sports for a living. Like, that's so cool. So I'm very lucky and very grateful, very fortunate for the position I'm in. And I never take that for granted and just try to talk about sports as much as possible. Seagulls are my fantasy team. Who won? I have to bring this up in the podcast. I know you had a back-to-back
hear it.
championship in your Havana Phil's league. Who was that again?
I believe it was the Emmy Award-winning Luke Lyddon.
Oh God.
Oh, you gave me credit. Thank you. Thank you, sir. It was lucky. It's a lot of luck.
And
It
we
is.
definitely
I've done really
applaud
well in those.
him with that. It takes a lot of skill, but it also does require a lot of luck.
It is a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll admit that.
The best way to do fantasy sports is to just blindly just pick.
And that's when you win sometimes.
And that's when you win.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like March Madness.
Trust me, I know.
Mhm.
I've done pretty well on those.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing.
So you've mentioned El Paso
Yeah.
a couple times. That's where you got your start.
Mm-hmm.
You were a news anchor there. What was it like in El Paso? You don't hear too many people coming out of El Paso, you know?
You don't. It was interesting. It was different. It was pretty similar to Arizona. It was just a smaller, much smaller version of Arizona, maybe. I mean, it's crazy. You drive on I-10, the highway, the border, where you see that Baskin-Robbins sign, that's Mexico. It's right there.
Really?
So it was, you're right in the border of two different countries, which is kind of surreal, right next to Juarez, Mexico, which actually was at one point the deadliest capital in the entire world. So, you know, you feel a little uneasy sometimes, but it was a great, just to put it simply, it was a great learning experience. I grew a lot as a person and in just the business in general. There's so much you have to learn in terms of politics within the office and just learning how to grow on set. And it was a 3-year contract. It was a pretty long 3 years, I'll be honest.
Not too much news coming out of there.
Not a lot. But so the funny thing is I actually had to report news 3 days a week and then anchor sports on the weekend. So that was tough for me because I'm a big sports guy. So I had to like try to balance that, and it wasn't super enjoyable. But the one thing is in this business, and I feel like in a lot of different businesses, you really have to pay your dues. And if you really are committed and if you really want to excel and perfect your craft, you kind of just have to shut your mouth, put your head down, and just work hard and be committed to that. And that was kind of my philosophy in El Paso. I'm like, I'm not going to be here forever. It's not where I necessarily want to end up. It's not my end goal. So let's just try to take the good with the bad and try to excel as much as possible to be able to get another good second job, which happened to be right here in Greensboro.
So that's interesting because Phil and I just did an episode on just the climb, like climbing the mountain in business and what in your career. You've already won an Emmy. Surely there are dreams and goals that you have for that end goal in what you do. Most people would probably assume that that's ESPN or something like that. What does that mean for you? Where are you trying to get? What would be your ideal like dream job?
That's a good question. So it's kind of changed over the years a little bit. When I was younger, first like starting out in El Paso, it was ESPN, get me there. At Bristol, Connecticut, ESPN. Now it's a little more flexible. It's definitely anchoring sports at a big time network. So whether it's Fox Sports LA or NBCSN or ESPN, definitely one of those networks. I think my strength is probably anchoring within the whole business. So my goal is to end up in one of those positions down the road. But like you said, the climb, it's something I struggle with as well sometimes, is trying to enjoy the moment. I'm always trying to think ahead, like, where's my next job? Or where am I going to end up? Or I need to be ready for this job or this opportunity. It's like, well, at the same time, yes, you need to prepare for that, but also enjoy where you currently are. And that's something I'm trying to still try to focus on as I navigate through this business. I only have like 8 months left of my contract here in Greensboro, so that time frame is starting to quickly approach. But I would love to be like an ESPN. Wouldn't that be so cool? Like if you saw me on TV right there, like in 30 minutes, that'd be like a dream come true. But
yeah, that'd be awesome.
it's about the people and the connections and the timing, and there's so many different factors to make that become a reality. But I do think something I've always told myself, and this goes with any business, not just broadcast, if you are good enough, whatever it is you're doing, they will find you and you will get that opportunity. It's just a matter of when. And so that's something I always try to tell myself, like, if I don't get an opportunity I thought it would in June, this upcoming June, I'm like, okay, the timing wasn't right and it wasn't meant to be, and I'll look for a different opportunity. So it's something I've learned over the years, is trying to be as patient as possible and let those successes come to you as opposed to pushing for them. But that's a kind of a daily struggle.
It's really wild that you talk about that and you admit that you're worried and you have these fears, which is really, really cool to hear, because everyone in the local news industry that I've talked to about you, because we're good friends, they say you'll be gone in 2 years. Whenever you got here, they're like, this guy will be gone. Someone's gonna scoop him up big time. Network is gonna take him. So following up with that, would you prefer to be a general news, sports news anchor, or would you rather be in a specific sport and host, games and that sort of thing?
So I would love to be at NFL Network. I think that would be really cool because my favorite sport probably is NFL. I love the Chiefs. I just love covering football in general. It doesn't matter the team. So, and if being a host at NFL Network would be really cool. But again, that's very flattering that whoever told you that. I mean, that's very humbling, and I appreciate those comments. But at the same time, you just have to wait your turn. I'm only 28, going on 29. I still feel like I'm pretty young. So, God, I'm not a patient person at all, at all.
Yeah.
So
I don't think any of us are.
Yeah. I'm like, God, I just want to be there right now.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to be self-aware of that. And my mom has been such a great help just in terms over the years of trying to make me develop that mindset a little bit more. But NFL Network that'd be amazing. And then talk about fantasy football. I love fantasy football, so that'd be awesome. But
and you're pretty good at it.
Lucky too.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to be open to. Actually, let me backtrack. The cool thing about this business is you never know where you're going to end up. I never thought in a million years I'd be here in Greensboro, North Carolina, yet here I am, and developed some great relationships along the way and covered some great sports. And it is fun, but also scary at the same time to think about where am I going to end up? Am I going to go home back to Arizona, or am I going to be somewhere on the East Coast or in the Pacific? Or you just never know. So that's kind of the exciting, but also the anxious part of the whole job hunt too. It's not like any other normal job in that sense.
Yeah. Still climbing that mountain. I love it. So we have to wrap up pretty soon. Before we go, we want to ask you a couple quick questions. What was your first cigar experience?
It was with you.
Really?
Yeah. So I like cigars. I'm not a huge cigar guy, but you kind of got me more into that. I'm obviously a member here. I need to come here more often. But yeah, it was you.
Yeah.
You were my first cigar experience.
What were we doing?
I think we were golfing.
Yeah.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't know the proper technique of like cutting the cigar and lighting it, and I think I was trying to like inhale and it wasn't even cut, and you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I was embarrassed, and then you have to try to act cool. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this, but deep down I'm like, I don't have those.
We
what am I
definitely
doing?
struggled a little bit, but we made it.
We did.
Every time we play golf, we smoke cigars together, and it's a good time.
But there are also some instances where you set, you go putt, go to the green or whatever, and you set your cigar on the little windshield of the golf cart. And it's happened like 5 times where I drive off and the cigar's ruined, and we run over, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm a newbie.
Someone always runs over it. It's
always.
a shame.
It's usually me.
It hurts my heart, but we move on from it.
We do.
And we light up another. Yeah.
Phil's also really good at not making you feel like an idiot when you're learning.
Sometimes.
Okay, maybe not with you.
But
with me,
yeah.
He's been really full of grace. So.
Yeah. So one last question. How does it feel to be the most eligible bachelor in Greensboro?
Hello.
I don't know. I'm still trying to settle into that role. Do you have any tips or advice for me?
Yeah, Phil, do you?
I'm gonna flip this back on you
Wait a
now.
minute.
Flip the
He's
script
getting a little
real
red
quick.
here for the
Speaking
people that are
about
listening.
eligible bachelors,
Yeah.
he's getting a little red over here.
So I don't have any advice. I'm trying to take it one day at a time, but we can tag team and go out together and have a good time.
But there's a pandemic, so the bars aren't open. So what are we
Yeah,
gonna
Phil,
do?
that's not allowed.
That's true. We can have bonfires and social distance.
Oh, okay.
Bonfires, huh?
Yeah.
The idea generated right here and behind the smoke screens. Don't forget it.
Bonfires, cigars, and drinks.
Ladies, you know how to reach us at Behind the Smoke Screens.
Shoot us a DM at Luke Lyddon.
It's actually Lil Irving. Please get the Instagram handle correct.
Lil Irving. What's the story behind that? Real quick.
So, my first name is Luke, obviously, and my last name's Lyddon. My middle name, what do you think my middle name is based on what my handle
Probably
is?
Lil Irving.
Well,
Irvin.
Irving. Yeah, Luke Lil Irving Lyddon.
That would be amazing.
That would be crazy.
Oh, my God.
Long time ago, actually, a girl that was my friend, not girlfriend, she just said, oh my God, you should make your Instagram name Lil Irving, and then it just kind of stuck ever since. So Chloe Dake, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, you are the inspiration and the reason behind the name Lil Irving. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of creative. My initials, Lil, and then my middle name kind of flows, sort of,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't, I just tell myself it does, and then just kind of
Yeah.
go with it.
I like
It's
it.
a little early.
Very creative. Any last questions?
I think you nailed it.
Cool. Well, it was a pleasure. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We're definitely
Thank
going
you
to
for
do it
being here.
again.
Yes.
We're going to keep this going as long as we can. And good luck tonight, man. You'll be live at 11 p.m.
I will. 11:23 p.m. So be sure to tune in.
Yeah. And
Nope.
follow him on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Pretty much every social media site you can think of, I'm probably on it because of my job. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys have a great setup here, very professional. You guys are great hosts.
Thank you.
It was a great time. I wish it wasn't over. Any other questions?
Spell
Just to
that-
keep it going. I don't want it to end.
Listen, I do actually. I was thinking about one thing to ask, which is, I know in preparation for your on camera, your live work, how much, like, what's the research process like? Do you have certain teams that you're supposed to stick with to talk about, or I know that you have some flexibility in what topics you want to cover and stuff,
Yeah.
but do they tell you, like, we want to talk about this and this tonight, or?
So the
How's
great
that
thing
work?
about my station is they do give me a lot of freedom within the sports department. Like, technically, I could talk about whatever I wanted to, but you want to kind of keep it within a certain boundary. So we're the official station, the Triad station of the Panthers, so we always talk about the Panthers. They have Zoom pressers every day, so we have fresh sound from the coach and the players. So I present it that way and kind of find the story angle within those interviews, and you kind of write around that. And then you have little local stories that are developing here and there. For example, college basketball, they just announced that the season's going to start November 25th, so we'll have that in the Sportscast. Just mentioned that. So you kind of find your top stories of the day, whatever they are, whether it's Panthers, NCAA news, local high school, High Point Christian Academy starting their football season next week, whatever it is, and you kind of try to format it as creative as possible, whether you're in studio or at home. That's kind of at least my philosophy. So they do give me a lot of freedom, which I think contributed to me winning the Emmy, because they never say, Luke, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's more like, all right, we trust you, just do your thing and present it well, that kind of thing. And I've had success that way. So fingers crossed, so far so good. We'll see what happens in the future. But
Well, with COVID right now, everything is
Yeah.
so, like, unknown. We don't know what's going on. Like, sports have certainly been on hold, and fans are cardboard, as you can see on baseball over here, cardboard people. Is there any talk, like, have you heard, is there talk about how they're going to sort of ease back into that? Do you have faith that we're actually going to move back into people being in the stands and sports kind of getting back to... what are you hearing, and what do you know about that?
So you would think I would have some inside scoop, but I know just about as much as you guys do. Like the Panthers, for example, we didn't know they weren't going to have fans week one until like 5-6 days before the opener. Like the media, didn't even have an idea, and it is a little concerning. Like I wonder. I know there are two NFL teams, Jaguars and the Chiefs, that are allowing fans in the stadium. The other 30 teams are not.
What about college sports? Aren't they letting some fans in?
Not yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of on the whole month of September, no fans, and they'll kind of assess it from that point moving forward. I'm optimistic that the NFL will have fans as the season goes on, because they already have two teams that have them. But for college sports, it's such a tricky situation, because they're not paid athletes, they're students, and you don't want to put them at risk, but you don't put the fans at risk. So there's so many layers involved with that I feel like there won't be any fans for most of the season for college football. Maybe the playoff, maybe they will, but I'm not super optimistic about that.
Is there not like a top-down decision maker there, or are like pro teams, are they just making those decisions individually based on the team management, or?
So I think the NFL has a large say in it, but I do remember that the NFL a while back said it's up to each governor of the state to make that decision on whether fans can be in the stadiums or not. But I think it's one of those things, just like
So
how.
folks, be sure to get out and vote.
That's right. That's right.
No comment.
Just saying.
Just like how you had the trickle-down effect with all the NCAA basketball teams and the NBA, and everyone kind of followed suit. I feel like it's definitely that kind of flow in terms of, the Big Ten canceled, even though it's coming back in a month or so. But the Big Ten's canceled, and the SEC has to cancel, and everyone kind of follows suit just to be better safe than sorry. But I am a little worried about that. It's just a weird year.
It's weird.
We just need to get out of 2020.
Yeah.
Please, just erase this year and move on to the next one.
And hopefully it's better.
It's got to be, right?
So one more question.
I hope it's still good.
It's
Go.
probably not, but
It is.
so you've interviewed a ton
Yes,
of
it
celebrities in the triad, and Charlotte, and all around North Carolina. Who was your favorite, most influential interview that you've ever had?
That's a good question, Phil.
So
Twins.
The one I was gonna ask.
up to this point, like when I first got here to Greensboro, I'd never covered the NFL, so I was super, super, super excited about that. And I remember I've been here for more than like three years and some change. So my first year covering training camp, I'll never forget. I'll always hold this memory close to my heart because it was just like, oh my God. Like you were starstruck. The first time I was in a buffet line at training camp in the kitchen, which the media at the time shared the buffet with the players. And
this is with the Carolina
Panthers. Excuse me, yeah, with the Panthers. So I'm on one side of the table getting my food, and I wasn't paying attention. I looked up, and Cam Newton was as far away as you are, like just 5 feet.
And that's a powerful presence.
That's power. That's a power. So I'm 6'6". He's my height, except obviously just massive in every regard.
Yeah.
Just a beast. And I remember seeing him, and I was like, oh my God! Like as a media member, you can't act like you're all like, oh my God, it's Cam Newton, it's Cam Newton. You have to act like, oh yeah, it's Cam Newton, whatever.
Yeah.
But I had to contain my excitement. But that was really, really.
I would be terrible at that.
That was really exciting for me, and I remember later that season, he talks, everyone knows about this, Cam Newton, his drip, his fashion, he's so stylish, which I actually love his fashion. And I love his kind of cocky ego. Yeah. He's out there, and he doesn't care what you think, which is kind of great.
He's got the attention of people. So
He does. It's working.
He knows what he's doing.
And I remember the playoffs were coming up. I think it was before they lost to the Saints in the playoffs on the road. I asked him, I was really nervous, because I'm like, it isn't really a hard-hitting sports question. It's more of a fluff fashion question. I said, Cam, he was about to walk out. I'm like, wait, one more question, please. And he kind of gave me the eye, like, what do you want to ask me? And he came back. And I was like, so Cam, the playoffs are coming up. I know you're all about drip and the fashion. You got anything special for this upcoming weekend? And it was very exciting for me, first time covering the NFL, because he lit up his face. He was like, now that's what I'm talking about. And rambled on for like 2 minutes about his fashion, his wardrobe, all this stuff. And everyone was laughing. I'm like, wow, so I guess it was a good question. So at this point in my career, just because I was so new to the NFL scene, that was pretty exciting and cool for me, because I'm like, wow, Cam Newton really liked my question.
And not to mention you were new to News 2.
Right, yeah. And, everyone thinks, I'm going to speak for myself here, but when you're in the media, all the media members, they put in a face like, oh, okay, yeah, we're talking to Justin Williams, we're talking to Sebastian Aho, those are hockey players, or we're talking to Cam, whatever. Oh, it's a normal day of business. But when you're new to that side of it, whether it's the NFL, NHL, whatever, at least for me, I'm still a kid at heart. So when I see these players in person, I act cool, calm, collected, ask my question, but on the inside or afterwards, and text my friend saying, oh my God, that was so cool. Right. I just got to ask Christian McCaffrey a question or whatever, because growing up loving sports, you would love to interview those players. It's so cool. You see them on TV your whole life, and then to be able to be in the locker room with them, ask them a question about the performance after the game, it's just so cool. So probably being in the Panthers locker room asking Cam Newton about his drip, that was pretty cool.
Is there like a gold, like somebody you would put on a pedestal in that way that you would just love to meet and talk to and interview?
Pat Mahomes.
Probably Mahomes, because I'm a diehard Chiefs fan.
Okay.
Chiefs quarterback. That'd be really cool.
$500 million, man.
$500 million. Can you imagine? Really quickly, can you imagine getting, okay, we're going to give you $500 million over 10 years. Can you imagine?
No.
What would you do?
But if somebody wants to.
Please. We're more than welcome.
I'm available.
I would not get married.
And he just got engaged.
Yeah.
I was about to say, what does that have to do with anything, Phil? God.
Because he just got engaged.
Bitter?
He's an eligible bachelor in the triad area. He's thinking,
Oh, God.
Try.
Mo money, mo problems.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
He's the most eligible.
You should DM me.
Are they going to argue about this?
It's a side episode.
You guys want to, arm wrestle over it?
Are you playing golf Sunday? Or are we going to go play golf
We can.
by ourselves?
We can play. Yeah, I'll be down to play.
So you don't want to play with that group?
I don't know. I just lose money every time. They bet $20 a person, and I never win. So, why? I'm just going to keep losing money.
It sucks, right?
Yeah.
I want to play.
I'm not good enough.
Let's get Shane out there.
I can play. Look,
watch her, get a hole in one and everything.
Wait a minute. I told y'all I play sports. I don't
Would you put money on it?
Can't talk about a lot of sports, but I can play them.
Are you a good golfer?
I have my own set of clubs, and I can do this.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm just saying I have clubs.
I'll be honest.
And shoes, nice ones.
It would
Like,
probably-
they're stylish.
It would
Let's go.
probably.
Let's go.
It'd be a pretty close round, I feel like.
I'm
Sunday
driving
morning,
the golf
yeah.
cart.
That's fine.
You gotta
You can
have
have
some
your own
cigars,
car.
too.
Yes.
You just can't run over a cigar. You can't forget it.
Oh, I would never.
And you can't drink all of our Trulies.
Oh my God.
It's only 100 cal.
Shout out Cafe Distribution.
Yeah, no, Truly is actually in like, all right, Truly, I love Truly's.
It's a
and
great golf course
White Claws,
seltzer.
which are loaded up in my fridge right now.
Oh, you should have brought them.
We have plenty.
We are at a bar.
A fridge full.
Right.
Cool. Any more
Two
questions?
That was awesome. Thank you so much. That
Of course,
was fun.
thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That was
fun.
great.
That was.
Thanks for coming on again.
Again.
We're thanking
Like
him for
I
the second
already
time.
said it,
No,
yeah.
because he has only
Oh,
been on
yeah.
once.
One last
Again, thank you for coming on.
question. How's that cigar?
Wait,
It's good, of course.
Yeah.
this is never gonna end.
I'm gonna miss my deadline for the show tonight. Just
Yeah.
blame behind the smoke screen.
Somebody's got to be in for his replacement this evening.
His
because-
makeup girl is at the house waiting on him.
So, funny thing about that, I have
Yes.
to put on my own makeup.
You have to wear foundation.
I'm wearing makeup right now.
When are you
Are
gonna get
you?
your
I
own
am.
makeup person?
I feel like that's when you're at a big network is when they do it, like ESPN.
Yeah.
You sit down in a chair and someone does it for you.
Do they have
That's
It's
what-
about
personal ones?
shine.
I feel
it's all
like
about shine.
I feel like when that moment happens in my head, I'm like, I made it. Someone's doing my makeup. I don't have to do it because I don't know what I'm doing. My mom
you should
and
go in
sister
there
should-
sometime with like eyeliner, like
Yeah.
dark eyeliner and like black nails.
Is this the
like,
look? Is this what we
here
want?
for the sports cast?
Like Greg Hardy. Just do the Kraken.
It's one way to catch the audience's
Yeah.
attention.
Hey,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Take some notes from Cam Newton because he knows what he's doing.
That drip. That's right.
Right.
Dripping
Come into
sauce.
come into the sports cast like wearing something really crazy. They'll be like, "What happened to Luke?"
I wonder what my bosses would say. Yeah, that'd be an interesting conversation the next day.
They'll be like, "Luke's had too many fruity drinks tonight."
Only one. I behaved.
Hold on. This is after his live show. So we're recording this podcast after he already recorded his live show.
Well, I don't know.
Because you can't drink before your live show.
Well, we've
Well,
already
that-
talked
Too
about
late
it,
now.
Phil. He's on his way to work.
Just don't tell anyone.
I was
Do you have a
trying to-
drink at work,
I was
Phil?
trying to cover up for you.
It's okay. Do you have a last question?
Yes. Of course we do.
Um,
What would you ask yourself if you were interviewing yourself?
What would be the biggest tip
No,
of
that's a good
advice that
one,
you would
yeah.
give out to your aspiring broadcasters out there?
Oh, there's a good one.
Oh, do you want me to answer?
Look, you
Yeah.
are a journalist. I mean, you
That's
know
a
the best
great
questions
question.
to ask yourself. Please,
that?
give
I'll
us
give
some
a
tips.
brief synopsis. For me, at least, I think
brief.
it continues on for 10
What do we
minutes.
have 10 more? Yeah, exactly.
I just think staying true to yourself and trusting yourself, and you have to be very open to criticism. It's a very cutthroat business. People are very critical of your looks, your presentation, your appearance, everything.
Like that watch guy
That's right.
who is freaking out about your watch. I put Luke on my Instagram story on Havana Phil's. At Havana Phil's, give us a follow. And someone DM'd me about Luke, and they were saying how much it bugged him that his watch was crooked.
And it's funny, since
Oh.
that point,
Every night his watch is crooked. I
Well,
mean,
so-
just fix your fucking watch, all right?
it's fucking too big. It's too many links. So it's not this band, but it's I'm not wearing it right now because I didn't want the viewer, if he was watching this, he'd see my watch slide around. So I
Yeah,
didn't want to
you don't want to mess with him.
It slides around a little bit, and that's
Yeah.
just so funny. You would never think a viewer would notice that and be like, tell him to switch his watch. But back to the original question that I asked
That's
myself.
Yeah.
Just staying true to yourself, trusting the process, continuing.
The question that I asked
I know,
myself.
I had to say that.
I love it that you're a journalist and you're like, back to the question that I asked myself tonight.
Your questions were not good
That's
enough,
so
so I'm going to
good.
ask myself.
That's
No,
not how I was
no.
saying it.
First of all, our questions were amazing.
They
But
were
anyway,
great.
yours are better.
But
so.
no,
All right,
no,
let's
they're
get
not.
back to your
Yes,
question.
this
real
is a
quick.
good. This is actually really good because people will want to know this.
Just my advice would just be to stay true to yourself. Be willing to accept criticism. Trust the process. Know that it really is a grind, just like everything else. But you really have to work. You really have to stay committed, because you're going to have to work in smaller markets that you don't want to. You're going to have to deal with some bullshit that you don't want to, which is how it works. I feel like that's every job, though. And just trying to differentiate yourself from the pack. Well, for me, that's my creativity and trying to just think outside the box. But for you, it might be something else. But just really trying to develop your brand in something that's different and unique from anything else you can find on TV, at least in my medium. I think that's kind of how I try to separate myself and have people tune in, hopefully, to me as opposed to someone else in our market. But it's probably what I would say. Just kind of stay true to yourself and trust the process.
And that's full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to do that as well. We have to keep it fresh. We have to keep it creative and do things that other people aren't doing. So,
because you wouldn't want a stale product. That's not,
right.
It doesn't interest you as the customer or whatever it may be. If you don't have anything special, why would I come to Havana Phil's? But of course you guys do. So then it's like, oh, let me be a member and do all that stuff. So I think that's probably, that'd be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah.
We're starting to get a little rain here, folks.
We are.
And that's perfect timing because it is time to wrap it up tonight.
Do you have any more last questions?
No. Get out of here. I'm just kidding.
Cool.
No,
well,
that was great. That was really great.
Amazing time. We'll see you on the course on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Get your greenies ready. You don't know what that means, but we'll tell you about it. And
I haven't played for a while.
I have some guesses.
We'll hit some greenies.
Okay. $5.
$5 greenies.
That's right. And we'll miss the green, and no one will win the $5.
I'm gonna hit the green.
All right.
Yeah. I've been practicing.
Have you?
In my backyard. Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Hitting them in the creek.
Smart,
Cool.
man. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks,
That's
guys.
a wrap.
Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. If you want me to have me on another time, excuse me, please let me know, and I
We'll
would
definitely have you on.
more than willing to swing down here.
Cool.
Thanks so much, Luke.
Thanks, guys. It was fun.